I got to 159
That
from
was the lowest.
215. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And that was not much fat. Like I would say if the same fat level, the same fat or even more when I was at 159. So,
Hmm.
but the thing is, let me comment for just for the audience that's curious. I wouldn't have lost that kind of muscle if
You know, one
oh
thing I did want to discuss
Oh,
before we cap it off is Leo. You posted that. Well, did you want to say something before I go on to another
no,
topic?
no, I was
no,
just
go,
listening.
go for it.
Okay. So you posted this picture recently of your physique, back in your heyday of powerlifting and whatnot. It was the first shirtless pic I've seen, and I wanted to discuss how long it took you to lose all the muscle when you intentionally came off of the steroids. Because most people, they want to know how long it takes to gain muscle. Obviously, nobody that I know of has documented how long it takes to lose, because most people want to maintain as much as they can naturally. No one has tried intentionally to get as frail as possible, which is
Excuse me?
like like self-admittedly you were trying to lose as much actual, like trying to go to double digit amounts of protein per day, trying to lose as much of the extra weight as possible. And like I've never seen anybody document losing everything essentially. So I'm just wondering, how long did that process take? Was it expedited? Like during your recovery process, you said it took you like a year to get your test levels back, or how long was it again?
I never checked my test levels. I only checked
Oh
sperm.
yeah, you've never checked your blood
Yeah, I
work.
just
My
checked
bad.
sperm. Yeah. But so just to clarify, although I was an arm wrestler and I was never very big, but I was bigger than those pictures. I unfortunately don't have many pictures because before I met Lucy, I didn't take a lot of pictures of myself. So
But
that
you
picture,
went from 220 at your peak down
no,
to
240.
240 at your
240
peak.
little fat, 220 with very little fat, 215 with very little fat. Like I could have, like you would have not have thought I was an arm wrestler or a powerlifter or anything. So I was
Mhm.
at little fat, but it took. So what happened was I actually could send you some pictures because I have more
Yeah.
pictures of that. Because what happened was I met Lucy and then she was taking pictures of me during that time. So what happened was exactly this. I remember. So I stopped working out and I went to TRT, which was 500 milligrams of underground testosterone.
Yeah.
So I went on that for about 2 months. And I remember I visited Scott Mendelson in the gym once, 2 months later, and he said, "Hey, you look really good." And I was like, "What do you mean? I lost all my muscle." Actually, Scott, yeah, I remember this conversation. I'm like, "I lost all my muscle." He says, "No, you look ripped." And I was like, "What the hell? I'm not on anything. I haven't been to the gym in 2 months." Because me and Scott talk about this stuff openly. Like, I mean, that's how I learned my 10,000. That's how I got on 5,000 milligrams in the first place. But anyway, we can talk about that some other time. But so me and Scott talk about that. I was like, "I'm on nothing." He's like, "You look great. Do what you're doing." I said, "I didn't work out." So at that point, I guess I still had muscle. And I have pictures around that time, but very little. I guess everything deflated. My arms stayed. And then I still was not lifting weight, but then I just totally dropped the test and then added in my protocol, which is on my YouTube channel. It's called Recovering from AES. But I didn't do exactly that. I didn't use clomiphene citrate, which Derek's clinic has, which is way better than Clomid. Well, he has the most advanced stuff, and you can get the best PCT there, really, genuinely. But anyway, the point is, I went on that stuff for about a year. And I wasn't checking my test levels, but I was just waiting for the stuff to recover. I was icing my gonads and doing all kinds of weird stuff, trying to recover. I tried everything, and it just slowly went away. I'll show you pictures. Probably my wife would be able to tell you, but I have a picture I just saw the other day. She was showing me like 7 months down the line. I'll send you the pictures. You could put them up, and by a year, I guess I looked like I didn't lift weights. Maybe a year and a half, a year and 2 months, something like that. By the time
But
I had Crohn's disease, by the time I got Crohn's disease, that's when it started.
you didn't live the full year though. So that would
Nothing, not even
like
one weight.
hyper accelerated the loss then.
And I
Okay.
also was eating sometimes once a day for months.
Oh
So
wow.
not once a day, but
Yes.
like 1 hour a day.
It's like what I'm doing right now. Because so,
Yep.
I did my last injection 5 months ago, and I still trained the first 3 months, and then or 4 months, and now it's been 3 weeks. So or not workout. So the first couple of months I still worked out, and now I haven't worked out in 3 weeks, and I'm only 90 kilos, which is less than 200 pounds. But I'm
What's
doing
your
vegetable only
lowest
diet.
lowest body weight, Leo? Like
One,
overall after
I
dropping
got
everything.
I got to 159
That
from
was the lowest.
215. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And that was not much fat. Like I would say At the same fat level, the same fat, or even more when I was at 159. So, but the thing is, let me comment for the audience that's curious. I wouldn't have lost that kind of muscle if I had went to the gym, and if I had never went to zero, if I had never went from 500, but it could have been 250. If I never went just to zero, it would have really stuck quite a bit. Like I would have lost my shoulders and stuff, but my arms probably would have stayed like 17 and a half, something weird, bigger than what it was naturally. It would have stayed a little bit bigger as long as I had a bit of fat. If you try to stay very low body fat and you go off, that's when it starts to go. And if you actually go off TRT completely, it'll just disappear within months. You'll go back to looking like a guy. Even if you work out, you'll look just like a guy who works out good.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I went through. My PCT, I was in a caloric surplus, so I gained a little bit of body fat, and of course, I still went to the gym, and I recovered decently. And now that I'm doing this fasting mimicking diet with vegetables only, and I don't go to the gym, I basically have no protein intake or no significant caloric intake. I'm just shrinking on a daily basis now. It's scary, but I'm not really worried about muscle memory. So I did my testosterone check last weekend. So after the PCT, I was around 500 nanograms per deciliter, and now after 2 weeks of vegetables only, no protein, no fat intake, I'm 375.
Wow.
And guess where my HBG is at?
75, 90, 120. Wow. Holy shit.
120. So sex drive is, I have an understanding wife, luckily, but my sex drive is fuck all,
Yeah,
So
I can
I did
imagine.
my PCT correctly, right? I did that, the cookie cutter Novadex kilometer, which we should discuss this Haarlem study because I got 2 pages of notes
is
myself.
PCT useful, Steve? Is it useful?
In my case, yes. In most of my clients, yes. But you have to let your hormones decline. Like what we saw with Pete Rubish, right? Pete Rubish, he just started, he did his injection. It's a fault of this study as well. They go from their last injection into PCT within a week or
So
2
tell
weeks.
us about the
4
study
weeks.
briefly.
Yeah, well, it won't be briefly. It won't
I don't
be
know if
briefly.
Derek has time. I don't know if Derek has time.
No, I can. Yeah, we can fit it in, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. So I made some notes myself.